Welcome back, guys, to Electric Buzz, where we do review videos on electric bikes, anything up and coming in the electric space. And today we have something very special. We got the BeeCool Adventure by BeeCool. We're going to be going over the ride, the features, the overall style, and just anything you guys would want to know about this BeeCool Adventure. So let's get right into it. Alright guys, so first we're going to start with the build quality of the bike. It's actually built with 6061 aluminum all the way through. And guys, I've ridden a lot of e-bikes as we do a lot of reviews, and I will tell you the quality and just the feel of riding on this bike is extremely exceptional, and we're a big fan of that so far. And then it also has these built-in fenders up here to kind of stop water and things like that coming up while you're riding the bike. So this is my first feel on the bike. It's raining today. I don't know if you guys can hear the thunder, so we're just gonna improvise and film it in the garage today. But yeah, it feels really solid as I'm riding this bike. I'm able to turn it pretty well, which I like. And it just feels like a quality bike. It almost feels more like a small motorcycle, rather than an actual bicycle, because there's a lot of weight to the bike and it's just built very sturdy. Oh, damn, it's got some pickup. The motor that is built inside of this bike is a 750 watt, peaking at 1100 watts. When it comes to torque, it has a pretty good, decent torque. The bike is pretty heavy, so if you're gonna be riding a smaller bike with that same battery, you are gonna feel a little bit better of a pickup compared to, as I mentioned earlier, a smaller bike. But the actual motor inside of this definitely gets the job done. It peaks out at around 30 miles per hour. I got up to about 35 on it the other day when you're going down hills. And when you guys are going up hills, things like that, there's really no concern or problem. You're gonna be able to get up, pretty much any sort of loft that's needed. Go up this little hill over here and just see how it handles. It's a little wet outside from the rain, but that's good because it's doing a nice little test. Yeah, unfortunately we got a little bit of rain today, but it's not gonna stop us from filming. Let's get back down and keep going through some features. So I just wanted to kind of go over the display feature here. It's a little bit wet, obviously it's raining outside, but the good news about this bike is that the water resistance portion is pretty good, and the battery is actually pretty high up here. There was actually a rainstorm in Fort Lauderdale, which is the city that we live in, a few months ago, and I was riding this bike literally through 2 feet of water, no problem. Now, I would not recommend that to anybody who owns an electric bike, but I honestly had no choice to get back, and it was handling it perfectly fine. So as far as the water resistance portion, you guys are not going to have a problem going through puddles, going through mud, taking it off-road. It's going to be a pretty good ride for that, and I'm a fan of it so far. And then when we're speaking about the display, it does have a display built in here. I like the look of the display. Just kind of shows you the miles per hour, the battery life. There's actually a speedometer on it, which is pretty cool. So as you pedal the bike, if you're on speed 1, it'll only kick in to a certain degree on the motor, versus if you're on number 5, as you pedal, it'll go max power. So it's just got some extra controls on the bike. It also has an actual gear shifter, which, to be honest, because it's an electric bicycle, you're probably not going to be using it much because you have a throttle. But that's pretty much an overview of the display features and just the water resistance portion of the bike. Alright guys, so it actually has a fully adjustable suspension in it, which is really nice for a smooth ride. You actually have an adjustable suspension here, and then there's also a back suspension right back here. And as mentioned before, we made a commercial for the video where Mark was basically riding the bike downstairs, off-road into grass, off curbs, and you can actually see that the suspension does a really good job on this bicycle, allowing you to have a pretty smooth ride. Another feature is going to be the light. Most e-bikes have a built-in light. I'll show you this one. It's pretty bright, looks pretty cool. Just a little bit extra added feature, not necessarily necessary, but a light. It's a nice little feature to the bike. Another great portion of this bike is that it also includes signals. So if I go left, you'll see that I'm left for street, and then you can also turn it to the right, just as if you were driving this bike, on the street. So as you guys know, that the rule is that if the bike does not have pedals, it has to be registered legally to be on the streets. But because these bikes have pedals, you're able to take this bike basically on the side of a street as a regular street bike, as well as sidewalks, things like that. So it's just a really good means of transportation from getting anywhere if you guys live in a city. The next thing I wanted to talk about is actually going to be the battery of the bike. Because I don't know the specifics on the top of my head, you guys will see some titles up here right now of the actual wattage, but the real life use of this battery is that it holds a very, very large charge. I literally will charge this thing once every 2 or 3 days, and I'll be able to get a decent amount of range from this battery. But one thing I will mention about electric bikes is that when it is charged up to the absolute fullest, you're gonna get a lot better performance compared to if the battery's at 60, 50, or 40%. You're not gonna get the same amount of torque or speed. So you wanna make sure that if you guys are riding electric bikes or you're buying this bicycle in particular, that you're gonna want it to be fully charged whenever you guys take it out. But you guys will have no problem from going from point A to point B, and then from point B to point A without having to recharge the bike. All right, guys, so we're gonna go for one more final ride of the bike. Just again, I'm feeling the mobility, the turn radius, and guys, I really, really like the feel of this bike. It's got some decent torque to it, got some decent pickup. I'm really looking forward to taking the bike out onto the streets, you know, once the rain stops, and just enjoying it and feeling the speed on the streets. But it feels, as I mentioned many, many times, because it is a heavier and it's a more, you know, sturdy bike, you're really gonna feel like this thing is more than just a bicycle. And the fact that it has that battery built in is a really nice feature. The only downside to having a heavy bike like this is that if the battery does die for whatever reason, it is gonna be a pain in the ass to pedal this bike because it is so heavy. So unless you're somebody who's got some strength and can, you know, push through that pedaling, it's definitely gonna be a bit harder for you as well. Just gonna have a little bit of fun here. Speed up that bike. Yeah, guys, I'm having an absolutely great time on this bike, guys. And it has some torque, like, and guys, I know that a lot of people are not into these electrical bicycles quite yet because they're thinking they're not that fast. It's like, why don't you just ride regular bike? Guys, these bikes can easily exceed over 30 miles per hour. You know, there's a lot of scooters or even motorbikes. A lot of the roads, especially in the city, you can't even go faster than 25 miles per hour. So being able to have one of these things will really allow you to get through wherever it is that you want to go to very efficiently, very quickly, and I'm super excited to test out some more e-bikes. Brakes on the system are pretty good as well. That's pretty much a wrap, guys, of the actual e-bike. Guys, take a quick look at some of our e-bike commercials. We basically work with a lot of e-bike brands, help them create professional grade commercials. If you guys are an e-bike brand and you guys do need some professional videography, feel free to hit us up at the link below. If you guys enjoyed the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. As mentioned at the beginning of the video, we specialize in doing reviews on e-bikes just like this, e-skateboards, e-bikes, e-scooters, anything in the electrical space. And if you guys haven't already, make sure to subscribe to Electric Buzz. I'll catch you on the next one.